Welcome, deep divers. Let's kick off this deep dive with a really iconic phrase. Sí, se puede.
Yes, it can be done.
Exactly. It's just such a powerful rallying cry. We've heard it everywhere, haven't we? Movements, political campaigns.
President Obama famously used it.
Right. But here's the thing, and maybe something you listening don't know.
Yeah.
Where did it actually come from?
Yeah, that's the interesting part, because while lots of people connect it with Cesar Chavez or maybe Obama, it was actually coined by Dolores Huerta.
Ah, okay.
She was the, equally vital co-founder of the Farmworker movement, but often kind of historically overshadowed.
And that right there, that's really the core of what we want to explore today.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a deep dive into the incredible life, the legacy of civil rights and labor activist Dolores Huerta. We've gone through a ton of articles, interviews, historical documents.
He's trying to piece it all together.
Yeah, to really uncover the crucial role she played, often uncredited, right? In the Farmworker movement, her very unique approach.
Yeah.
They call it personal politicking.
That's the term, yeah. They'll definitely get into that.
And, the immense sacrifices she made fighting for justice. The goal here is for you listening to walk away with a hopefully much richer, more nuanced understanding of this, well, profoundly influential figure.
And we'll try to connect the dots. How one woman's, unwavering dedication to her community, her strategic genius in negotiations, and just her sheer, unshakable spirit, how that fundamentally changed things in the U.S. Her story is one of overcoming just huge personal challenges.
Like sexism, danger.
Oh, absolutely. Blatant sexism, constant danger, and her impact. As we'll see, it really resonates right into today.
Okay, so to really get a handle on Si Se Puede, we need to go back to the beginning of Dolores Huerta's life.
Right.
And it wasn't California fields, surprisingly. It started quite a ways away in New Mexico. That's where the first seeds of this lifelong fight were planted. So how did a woman born there become such a key force in California's farmworker movement?
Well, Dolores Claire Fernandez, she was born in Dawson, New Mexico back in 1930. But a really pivotal thing happened early on. Her parents divorced when she was only 3.
Ah, okay.
And her mother, Alicia, moved Dolores and her 2 brothers out to Stockton, California. And Elisa, her mom, she was this incredible force herself.
Really? How so?
The compassionate businesswoman. She bought a hotel, and you can sort of see the foreshadowing here. She often let farm workers stay for free.
Wow. So that community spirit was there early on.
Definitely. It instilled this deep sense of responsibility in Dolores. And Dolores herself, she experienced racial discrimination directly. She talked about a school teacher accusing her of cheating because her papers were too well written.
Implying a Latina student couldn't do that work.
Exactly. And her brother was badly beaten just for wearing a zoot suit in 45. These things weren't just, isolated incidents. They really shaped her understanding of systemic injustice.
That must have fueled her somehow.
It did. She actually became a teacher first in the 1950s. But seeing the poverty, the hunger of her farm worker students, it just hit her really hard.
Couldn't just stand by.
Right. She realized she couldn't just teach them ABCs. She had to fight the conditions causing their suffering. It was a real turning point from education to, direct action.
That's a huge shift.
Yeah.
A really powerful moment. So what does she do right after that? Moving from the classroom to full-time advocacy.
Well, her first big step into organized activism was in 1955. She co-founded the Stockton chapter of the Community Service Organization, the CSO.
CSO. Okay, what did they focus on?
Mostly grassroots stuff. Voter registration, pushing for economic improvements for Hispanic communities in California.
Right.
And it was through the CSO that she met Cesar Chavez.
Ah, the connection is made.
Exactly. And they had this shared commitment. Nonviolence, self-sacrifice, fighting for basic human rights. It just formed the bedrock of their partnership.
A powerful duo.
Absolutely. So together, in 1962, they took that shared philosophy and launched the National Farm Workers Association, the NFWA.
Which became the UFW later.
That's right. Later evolved into the United Farm Workers of America, the UFW. And Chavez had that quote that really summed it up for both of them. "It is my deepest belief that only by giving life do we find life."
Powerful. And what a life she chose to give. Okay, this brings us to something you mentioned earlier, this personal politicking.
Yes.
It sounds, I don't know, almost like a contradiction. Personal, but political and strategic. What was this approach, and how did it make her different from other organizers back then?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Her personal politicking, it wasn't just like a clever tactic. It showed this profound understanding of the power dynamics of the time.
Okay.
She knew, as a woman in a very male-dominated world, that just being aggressive or confrontational often wouldn't work. She might be dismissed.
Right, unfortunately.
So instead, she cleverly leveraged traditionally, quote-unquote, feminine roles and connections. Motherhood, family ties, community building. She turned those into really potent strategic tools.
Pretty kind of soft power.
Exactly. Soft power, before you even called it that, like she'd get votes on the CSO board by calling her aunt, a couple of friends, even her compadre, the godfather, to her son.
Using her network.
Totally. And she made family a central talking point in negotiations, framing the issues in really human, relatable terms, not just, dry economic arguments.
Got it. So focusing on the people involved.
Yes. And this let her champion issues that were incredibly personal to the farm workers, like the basic dignity of having bathrooms in the fields, something others might have just overlooked as minor.
So she wasn't just throwing facts and figures around. She was appealing to, like, a deeper sense of humanity connection. Right. Can you give us a really vivid example, maybe something during a major campaign where this personal politicking really shone through?
Oh, the bathroom campaign is a perfect example. She fought so hard for bathrooms in the fields. She recalled how humiliating it was for women having to hide behind cardboard sheets for privacy.
Yeah, that's basic dignity.
Absolutely. So for her, it wasn't about convenience, it was about dignity. It became a key demand in UFW contracts. And eventually, almost 20 years later...
20 years?
Yeah, nearly 2 decades, it became a national law.
Wow. That's persistence.
Incredible persistence. And in negotiations, she was known to bring her kids along. Sometimes, strategically, using a crying baby to get a pause, to buy time, to think, or regroup.
No way. A crying baby is a negotiation tactic. That's amazing.
Right. It shows the pressure she was under and her willingness to use absolutely everything she had. She always framed demands ethically, asking growers things like, how can you argue against doing this for human beings just to save money?
Making it hard to say no on moral grounds.
Exactly. She made the human cost impossible to ignore.
That's brilliant. And you mentioned the great boycott strategy earlier, too. That seemed like another example of sharp thinking.
Oh, absolutely. Another, really bold strategic move. So initially, Cesar Chavez wanted to boycott both grapes and potatoes.
Okay, broaden the fight.
Yeah, but Huerta was already in New York, ready to kick off the grape boycott. So she strategically told him, look, if you want to add potatoes, you have to come here to New York in person to discuss it. Knowing he probably wouldn't spend the union's limited money on the flight.
Clever.
Right. So she effectively secured the grape-only boycott focus, which turned out to be crucial. It let them concentrate their resources on grapes, which had a bigger economic impact, especially hitting the wine industry.
Makes sense. Focus is key.
And she was amazing at mentoring other women, too, bringing people like Frances Ryan, Mary Lou Watson, Joan Schnabel to the Democratic National Convention, teaching them how to work the floor, the ins and outs of political organizing.
Building capacity within the movement.
Exactly. And then there was a dramatic moment at the '68 DNC, unfurling the Huelga flag. That wasn't just protest. It was pure political theater, a masterstroke for visibility. It instantly boosted the strike's national profile.
She clearly was this absolute powerhouse, a real strategic mind. But, like we touched on, that kind of work, being such a trailblazer, it must have come at a huge personal cost.
Immense. Yeah.
Including sexism, even within the movement she helped build, right? And facing real terrifying danger. What was the actual, the human cost of her dedication?
You've really hit on a critical point there. One of the biggest challenges was just being overshadowed.
By Chavez.
Often, yeah. He got more public attention, and she actually agreed at one point for him to be the union's only spokesperson.
Why did she agree to that?
Well, looking back, she said, viewing it through a feminist lens later, she regretted it, wished she'd pushed back, said, no, Cesar, let's do it 50-50. She felt she had to kind of suppress her feminist thoughts early on in the UFW. The culture, especially among many immigrant farm workers then, just wasn't used to women in strong leadership roles.
That must have been tough, internally.
Incredibly. But she didn't stay silent forever. Later on, she directly challenged sexism within the UFW. She started tallying sexist remarks made during board meetings.
Seriously, she kept score.
Yep. And reported them. Kept doing it until the comments finally stopped.
Wow. That takes guts.
It really does. And it's, a powerful testament to her impact that today the UFW president is a woman and the board is majority women.
That's legacy right there. What about the personal toll? Especially as a mother. She had, 11 children?
11, an astounding number. And her kids, people like Paul, Lori, Emilio, they've spoken candidly about it, wishing she was around more. facing harassment at school because their mom was this high-profile, often controversial figure.
I can only imagine.
Lori remembers her mom missing her 13th birthday because she was off organizing farm workers in Florida. It was this constant juggle, right, between her massive public mission and her private life.
How did Dolores herself see that balance or lack thereof?
Well, she acknowledged the sacrifices her children made, but she also genuinely believed they gained something incredibly valuable, too.
Like what?
Enriched lives, unique experiences. They grew up in the movement, literally, met famous people, learned about struggle firsthand, and inherited, as she put it, a profound love for justice.
And did that stick with them?
It seems so. Many of her kids went into helping professions, an attorney, a doctor, a nurse, so that ethos carried on.
That's quite something. But beyond the family sacrifices, there was real physical danger, too, wasn't there?
Oh, constant threats. Her life was threatened many times. She survived attacks at her home, attacks on picket lines. She was even taken hostage once.
Taken hostage. Good grief.
Yeah. The risks were very, very real.
And it wasn't just threats from, say, growers or anonymous sources. The incident in 1988 in San Francisco, that's just chilling. It involved the police, right?
That's right. In 1988, during a peaceful protest against, ironically, the policies of George H.W. Bush in San Francisco, she was brutally beaten by a police officer.
How badly?
Severely. Broken ribs, a ruptured spleen. She almost died. It was horrific.
Unbelievable. Did anything come of that?
She sued the SFPD and won a substantial settlement. But what's really telling, and kind of heartbreaking, is what she recalled afterwards.
What was that?
Some of the men within the UFW initially assumed it must have been her fault somehow.
What? That she provoked the beating?
Yeah, that she must have done something to bring it on herself. It just highlights this insidious, deep-seated sexism she had to fight, even among her own allies.
So she's battling the external forces, the growers, the system, and then this internal bias, too.
Exactly. A stark internal struggle layered on top of all the external threats. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many other Dolores Huertas were out there whose contributions got diminished or lost because of that kind of internal resistance?
That's a really powerful, almost tragic thought. Okay, so her work wasn't just about surviving protests or winning specific contracts, vital as those were. It was about making lasting change, institutionalizing it.
Precisely.
And inspiring the next generation. So let's talk about that lasting impact. How did all that activism, all that personal politicking and sacrifice translate from the fields into, say, national policy? How does it still echo today?
Well, her impact really went far beyond just the union contracts, though those were obviously huge. She was a major driving force behind significant legislative victories.
Like what?
The biggest one, probably, is the California Agricultural Labor Relations Act of 1975.
Okay, what did that do?
Monumental stuff. For the first time, it gave farm workers in the U.S. the legally protected right to collective bargaining, a right they'd previously been explicitly denied under federal labor law.
So leveling the playing field legally.
Trying to, yes. And she didn't stop there. She continuously lobbied for better legislative representation for Latinos and other marginalized communities. What's just incredible is her longevity.
She never stopped, did she?
Never. Even into her 70s, 80s, her 90s, she remained incredibly active, traveling to Standing Rock to support the protesters there.
Wow.
Working tirelessly to get Latinos and especially women elected to political office, championing women's issues not just in the U.S. but globally.
Truly embodying that si se puede spirit her whole life. I remember reading about her distinction between organizing and mobilizing.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that a bit? Why is that distinction important to her legacy?
Yeah, that's such a key part of her philosophy, her approach to activism. She believed deeply that real lasting change comes from organizing, meaning the slow, steady work. Sitting in people's living rooms, talking to them, educating them on the issues, building genuine relationships, creating a strong, informed base. That's what builds a foundation, a long-term commitment.
As opposed to just mobilizing.
Right. Mobilizing, like getting people out for a specific rally or protest, that's important too. It has impact. But it can be quicker, more fleeting. Her insight was that you need both, sure, but organization builds the resilient roots for activism that lasts.
And we see that today.
Absolutely. You see echoes of that organizing versus mobilizing idea in so many grassroots movements, now climate action, voter rights. It shows how timeless her approach really is. And through it all, she kept this incredible optimism.
Even after everything she faced.
Even then. fueled by, seeing knowledge become more accessible, seeing more women step into leadership roles. She often echoed Coretta Scott King's idea that we will never have peace in the world until women take power. And her advocacy wasn't just limited to labor either. It expanded to support the poor, women, families, the environment, LGBTQ citizens, immigrants. She saw the connections.
That all struggles for justice are linked.
Precisely. She understood that interconnectedness deeply.
What an absolutely incredible journey we've taken, just tracing the contours of Dolores Huerta's life. From that teacher worried about hungry kids,
Yeah.
to co-founding a national movement, becoming a master of personal politicking, and just this relentless, unwavering force for justice. Her foundational work truly shaped labor rights, civil rights in the U.S., gave voice, gave dignity to millions who'd been invisible.
It's such a powerful story of perseverance, isn't it? And it really does challenge us to think about who we call heroes and how history actually gets written and who gets left out.
Definitely.
Her ability to take that deep personal conviction and translate it into strategic collective action, it just fundamentally changed the landscape for farm workers and way beyond.
It really did. So as you listening, reflect on this deep dive. Maybe think about Huerta's own definition of having it all. It wasn't about personal stuff, possessions, or individual awards for her.
Yeah.
It was about having for all, ensuring physical safety, financial security, social freedom for everyone.
Having for all. That's powerful.
It is, isn't it? So the question for you is, what steps can you take in your own community, your own life? How can you translate your personal values, your convictions, into collective action, just like Dolores Huerta did? Her life is proof, really, that Si se puede isn't just a slogan. It's a philosophy, a call to action for all of us, just waiting to be put into practice.